In this episode, we are discussing, do you know how to learn a song by ear? And of course, we got a few tips for you and also from the other community members. Here we go.
Hey there, music maker. I'm Hayes Griffin.
I'm Magnus and
And welcome to the Mandolin Secrets podcast, a show where we take a deeper look at what's happening in the world of mandolin secrets. Each episode will tackle our question of the week, unpack the latest mandolin secrets lessons, and answer your questions about mandolin, guitar, and all things music. In this month's episode, we'll be discussing, do you use a tone guard for your mandolin, why or why not? And do you know how to learn songs by ear? If so, how did you acquire that skill? We've also got some new content releases from Magnus in Mandolin Secrets and one from me in Guitar Club.
Yeah.
But before we dive into this week's discussion, be sure to head to mandolinsecrets.com/podcast to sign up for reminders about upcoming episodes. And just search Mandolin Secrets Podcast on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to get updates when we release a new episode.
Yeah, and I think this tone guard question, it's actually something we talked about before, but I think it's always an up-to-date, present question for mandolin players, and I do even know that you have a slightly different approach to this nowadays, Hayes.
Yes.
So what have happened in your tone guard story for the last year?
So when you and I first started kind of hanging out with one another online, during the pandemic, I was 100% all about the tone guard. The tone guard was like essential. I would have a pick and my tone guard. Those were the only two accessories I needed for my mandolin, right?
And by the way,
oh yeah,
if someone of our listeners, watchers, doesn't know what a tone guard is, I'm going to show it here for the video viewers, and you can maybe describe it in words, what it's like.
Yeah. So the tone guard is kind of this device that you can attach to the back of your mandolin that keeps the mandolin off of your body and allows the instrument to resonate without kind of being dampened by your stomach or wherever the mandolin makes contact with your body. You can kind of see that. I mean, what would you say, Magnus? Is it like a 2 centimeters or something like that off of the back of the mandolin at the highest point or something,
Yeah. I think 2 centimeters is 2.5 maybe.
Yeah, something like that. But there are some advantages to this device, right? Like, one, it keeps the mandolin off of your body, and I do notice a tonal difference when I play with my tone guard. It is a little louder, it projects more, I've got more bass response. And another thing I like about the tone guard is that it adds weight to the back of the mandolin, because you know this, Magnus, on F-style mandolins, the headstock will dive if you take your arm off of it, right? So this kind of helps with that. But over the last year, I have kind of changed my view on the tone guard. It's not that I dislike the tone guard and don't want to use it, but I had my shiny, brand new red diamond F-style mandolin and put my tone guard on it for about a month. And then I just took it off to kind of clean the mandolin up and noticed that it had left these weird impressions in the finish because my mandolin was pretty new. So I was like, man, I don't want to ruin the finish on my mandolin less than a year after getting it, right? So I removed the tone guard and started playing without it for maybe a couple months with the hopes that the finish would cure in a few months and then I would just put the tone guard back on and everything would be fine.
Yeah.
But as I started to play the mandolin without the tone guard, I actually modified the way that I held the mandolin. And I think the way that I have to hold the mandolin to get good tone without the tone guard, off of my body, is actually the way that I should have been holding it all along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of, instead of keeping the mandolin flat to my body, I was forced to kind of push the headstock forward with my left arm a little bit and keep it at more of an angle.
Does that happen also when you're standing up playing?
Yes. I still do that. And for me, I think that was the technique all along. I think now that I've been playing with it, I've noticed less tension in my left hand and things like that when I'm playing the mandolin.
Cool.
I used to like grip it really tightly, and I don't know if that was just because of the bad angle that I had.
Yeah.
But taking the tone guard off just forced me to reckon with, I think, a bad part of my technique that I hadn't touched before.
Yeah.
So for now, I'm going without the tone guard. I think it's a good exercise for me, to kind of...
I really like it. I mean, also, to me, actually, I don't like the weight that it adds to the instrument.
Yeah.
I like the pure... It's like kind of playing a naked, like
yes.
Without it. So it's more sexy without the tone guard, sort of. The feel of it. And I also played it like that for an entire year, since my mandolin also was new, with a new finish and all that. So I got a new red diamond mandolin in February 2023. So for an entire year I played it without it, and I really fond of it. And it's never a problem when I'm sitting down playing, because like you're saying there, then I can easily like keep the back of the mandolin from my stomach.
Yes.
But then I put it on now here in late February or March or anything, and there's something with the tone that I do like. So now the tone guard is there, and I'm not sure if I... Thank you so much for watching this highlight video. If you want to watch the entire episode, you can do it inside Mandolin Secrets Academy. Or you can also go to like your favorite podcast platform and listen to an audio version of this podcast episode. You can also go to our website to listen to the podcast. The web address is mandolinsecrets.com/podcast. And always remember, be a music maker.